Hey, it's Neal, and today I'm going to do a deal breakdown of this deal. You may have seen this online when this deal closed. It's been a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and I posted this online. I shared some metrics just about the amount of inquiries we had, this crazy buyer owner meeting that we did, and the offers, and it's just a few more details. Today, I want to go through this deal. This is a deal breakdown, and I want to peel the curtain back and share a little bit about what happened. I want to set the stage here that this was not our normal deal. I love this market pulse survey for a number of reasons. I'll revisit this in a little bit. But this was very much a Main Street deal, and then it was a sub $500,000 deal. And in our firm, we like to kind of live in this space around between the lower middle market and the Main Street. So this was a small one, but it went about as well as a deal can. And there was tremendous buyer interest, which allowed us to really serve our client. So here is big picture what happened. So we signed this listing agreement with this business owner on August 20th. That's when he hired us to go to market. We'd already done some valuation work. We'd already talked for a little bit. We'd already had the introductory conversations of what does success look for you? What was he trying to get out of this sale? What was life going to look like after the sale? So we signed the listing agreement, and then within 1 week, just over a week, we went live with it. Now that alone is unprecedented. You may have seen on this here that it was less than 3 months. It was actually 79 or 80 days total for this deal, and that is not normal at all. And a big part of that, coming back to this timeline here, is the client, the seller client. He had everything that we asked for right up to bat. Like a lot of business owners, we list the business, we get started, and then we ask for financials, and it takes them time to get us what we need. Not this business owner. He was well prepared. He had all of his ducks in order. He was ready to go. That enabled us, my team, to turn this around. I can't share everything, but I'll share the blind listing. We had a full business report. I can't share that with you. That's behind NDA. I should also mention with this particular deal, I asked both the buyer and the previous owner, if they wanted to kind of go on record with this, and both of them politely declined. So I want to respect that. And for this case study, I'm going to share only confidential information, and I'm not going to share the sale price. I know that kills you. I can intimate about it, but I want to be respectful to the principles in this deal. But what I can share is this was a prepared owner. He'd run the business for 12 years. He had perfectly clean financials. And in a laundromat deal, that's pretty unusual. This is a cash business. This business owner was reporting everything. And I love that for him because it just enabled him to command a premium price. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But big picture, within 8 days, we went from listed to live. And that was a testament to both him and our team for executing and turning around the marketing documents into a presentation. So here is what that looked like. This was publicly available. Johnston County Semi-Absentee Growing Laundromat was our code name for this deal. We listed it at $350,000. We listed the cash flow at $140,000, and his gross revenues were $316,000. 1 year in 1 year sales was $316,000. Had some pertinent details about the rent and how long he'd been going on in business, and a short description. And this was another attribute: is the owner only worked part-time. He did not work full-time in the business. Multiple lines of revenue. There's some other great stuff that he had going on. Pretty typical listing. He had a nice lease, and we worked on that as well. But this is what went on the major listing sites, and we also pushed this out to our proprietary list of business buyers. So, what happened next? Well, as you can see, we got inundated with people raising hands saying, I want to learn more about this deal, right? So that happened right at the end of August, the beginning of September. We were swamped with everybody and their mother wants to buy a laundromat. I'll do a separate video about why there's so much demand for businesses and in particular for laundromats, because it is very strong right now. And in my kudos to those business buyers out there, because it's a tough time to find a quality business like this one. So we capitalized on that, right? And what we typically do is we actually did one owner interview where we had the owner talk to a buyer. Obviously, that buyer signed the NDA. We let them answer each other's questions, and all the while we're accumulating all these buyers and we're screening them. And then I started to run this auction process. So around the first week of September, I said, look, everybody wants to talk to the owner. If you sign the NDA, I'm going to invite you to a live Q&A with the owner. Register for it. Here's the official particulars. We're going to do it September 13th. I did it like in the afternoon. And again, this was live on Zoom, and I recorded it. And all the people had to do was sign an NDA to get into this live buyer-owner interview, right? So we did that on September 13th. And of the, where are we going here? Of the 600-something people that showed interest, over 400 of them signed the NDA. So right off the bat, a third of them just fell off. They just didn't follow the protocol. They failed to, basically signing NDA says, I'm going to keep a secret. And if they don't sign the NDA, then that stops. What you see here is as much information as you get if you don't sign the NDA. But of the 407 that signed it, about 50 of them showed up live for this live owner interview. Again, I don't do these for every listing, but it's kind of an M&A style auction process. Get your questions answered. I actually ran most of it, and I know what questions buyers want to know. So I hit the top questions, and then I opened it up. I think we went for over an hour. 45 minutes was me asking the owner questions. Why'd you start the business? What are the attributes of this business? How did COVID treat you? How did you select your team? What's your role in the business? What's your day-to-day? Those are the types of questions that every business buyer wants to know. That's kind of hard to capture in the business report that they already had. But I answered all of those with the owner, and then I opened it up, and we had another 10, 12 questions from buyers that were live that didn't get their questions answered. And once they started repeating questions, I knew those were buyers weren't listening, and so we kind of ended it there. Now, but I recorded this live owner interview, and for people that signed the NDA, leading until this signed offer to purchase, which was the next step, was signed. I let those people watch it as well. So what is this OTP signed just 5 days later? We invited people to fill out our offer to purchase, and that's what the OTP is. And this is more than a term sheet, more than a letter of intent. This is a binding agreement that they could write for the owner to accept. And we wanted to know all of their terms and, how much you're going to pay, when you're going to pay, show me the money. We had the Jerry Maguire moment, as I call it. And we got 17 of these of varying degrees. Now, coming out of a buyer-owner meeting where we had 50 people live and then, another dozen, 2 dozen watched that, it was pretty easy for us to quickly reject those buyers. But we got a lot of offers like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you $200K and 50 grand down, and then the owner can take the rest later. So, and hey, prove to me that you got the 50K and I'll submit this to the business owner. But trust me, he's not going to have to accept that. We got 600 NDAs, 50 buyers showed up to a live buyer owner meeting. We had a lot of offers that were close to the selling price here and that were SBA contingent. And we could have gone down that road as well. But because of this demand that we had, because of the public display of interest that we created, we were able to get this all cash over ask offer from a buyer that he showed us the money and his story made sense. Again, I want to respect the buyer and the owner, but this was an owner who had recently had a transaction of his own. He was pretty liquid. He had moved the area and he intended it. This is what we liked the most. He intended to operate the business in the same format that the current owner did. So that was a really good story. We listened to that because we have a lot of owners that are like, yeah, I'm in, Columbia, I'm in Nebraska, but I've never had a laundromat before, but hey, laundromats are easy, so I'm just going to throw a manager in and I'll get a bank. We hear these stories, but that story appealed to us because number one, he jumped through all of our hoops in regards to showing us the money and obviously signing the NDA and taking our phone calls and filling out our offer. He did everything we asked of him, and the story made sense. So it really made sense to go with this offer. So now let me tell you a little bit more about how I think this business owner, the outgoing owner, did well. I have some research here. Let's start with this offer to purchase here. So I'm sorry, this is the Market Pulse. I really like this. This is the Market Pulse survey by the IBBA and M&A Source. This is the most recent one. I'd already cited this one time. This is one of the best resources in business brokerage if you're looking for real stats. I mentioned this is a Main Street business, but what I want to take you to now, contact me if you want to learn more about this research here, because I'm lousy with research. These are market multiples. Again, we're in the sub $500,000 deal size. Businesses like this trade for about 2 times cash flow. The bigger deals, when you hear about these giant firms selling for 10x or 20x, that's Wall Street. That's like mergers and acquisitions of middle market or large cap type stuff. In the small business world, these are the normal multiples. And for a $500,000 deal, we see 2x is kind of the going standard. That's for all businesses, but let's look a little bit closer at laundromats. This is another piece of research for CoinOp Laundromats. This is Business Reference Guide from the Business Brokerage Press. This is a great resource as well. And this breaks it down to 3 to 5x of cash flow, but also it'll break it down to deal size. So this is a laundromat doing $316,000 per year. So it's under $1 million. 1 year's net sales, basically 95% of net sales is what this resource cites. So we got 2x of the cash flow or 1 year's sales. And if you look at these multiples here, if we take that 95 up to 100% of sales, this number should have been about 316. If you take this cash flow and you multiply times 2, that's about 280. So either way, the selling price was aggressive. We represent sellers, so we want them to get the best deal. So obviously that was our positioning, and we justified it. This laundromat had a lot going for it. I mentioned some of the attributes, and I won't sell it now. It's already sold, but we let every buyer know this is a special laundromat. But ultimately, it went for above ask. And I mentioned the terms were very, very strong. That happened. This OTP signed at all cash over ask because of that demand that we had created. The rest went pretty smoothly. We opened up a diligence period. So that buyer, even though we had all these backup buyers, that buyer's in first place, but we let every buyer know, hey, this may go back on. We will let you know if something changes. And sometimes things do change. If you're a business buyer and a business under contract, still go through the motions, because I have sold businesses to business buyers that were let us know we call it interested but under contract, right? So we went through that. This one, diligence ended on October 12th. So that at that point, the buyer had a chance to validate financials and kick the tires, and we put them in the driver's seat, and that transaction closed on November 8th. There was a lot we had to get through to get to that stage, like any deal. But this is record setting. This particular Market Pulse survey doesn't, I don't think it shares, I don't think we had timelines in this one. But I can tell you the industry average for small business transactions is 7 to 9 months. Smaller deals do tend to go to go more quickly. But to close a deal like this in 80 days, it's not the fastest we've done, but it's pretty darn close. And we are very happy for our client to get to these metrics here of all cash over ask with all of these offers. He was sitting in a very aggressive position. Essentially, he just had all the options there. This business owner was not 100% certain about going to market. He knew he wanted to make a change, and as I like to say, he wanted to go from this one lily pad to the next. And he wanted a group to take him through that process, and that is exactly what we did with this. And I know he learned a lot. I know we got to talk to a lot of pretty cool entrepreneurs looking to make their own moves. We were the navigators through this process for this business owner. And that's kind of behind the scenes. We obviously partnered with these law firms to close it buy side, sell side. Even if it's a small deal, everybody gets representation. We got it under contract, and then we We helped him get through to the closing. And we worked with, obviously there's a landlord involved. We worked with his payoffs. When you have a laundromat, you have loans. So we satisfied all that. This enabled this particular one business owner to start his next adventure. I like to joke that he was our future former business owner. He's our latest former business owner, right? And then we got a new business owner that's now in the driver's seat of this business, and he's got lots of plans to take it to the next level. So that's my deal overview, my case study of this particular laundromat. I hope you found this interesting. I'm Neal Isaacs. I'm a business intermediary. We sell businesses. We value businesses. We do it all day long. I like to joke, we have our finger on the pulse of the market. We suffer the daggers of buyers shooting in our backs. We experience what the market has to bear. If you have questions about this process, contact me. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this laundromat, on other types of deals. Like I said, laundromats are typically smaller deals. We do all different sizes. I love service businesses. I typically work in the North Carolina Triangle market, but let me know what you're seeing in your market. Until next time, this is Neal. Thanks for watching